Hello and welcome. My name is Samantha Thorstensen. I'm the Education Program Director here at the ISS National Lab. We want to thank you for joining us for today's webinar and thank you for your interest in the National Lab Research Announcement, and that's NLRA 2022-7. The title of this NLRA is Leveraging the ISS National Lab to Enable Digital Engagement for K-12 and Higher Education. The webinar is being recorded, and this recording will be posted on the website for the NLRA 2022-7 landing page. Everyone will be muted throughout the webinar, so please take a moment to find that question and chat feature throughout the webinar. We will answer as many questions as possible during this allotted time. Questions asked during the webinar and throughout the communication of this process will be available on the NLRA 2022-7 website. We have a great team here from the ISS National Lab with us today, from Operations, Science, Contracts, Communications, and Education Department to help answer all of your questions. Many of you are familiar with our organization, but for those of you who are not, welcome. I will give a brief overview of the ISS National Lab's education programs and partners, like Space Station Explorers, then share the primary objective of this National Lab research announcement. We'll review process and timelines, award information, and of course your questions. The U.S. ISS National Lab is managed by CASIS, a nonprofit, non-governmental organization through a cooperative agreement with NASA. For more than 20 years, humans have lived and worked continuously aboard the International Space Station, advancing scientific knowledge and demonstrating new technologies, making research breakthroughs not possible on Earth that will enable long-duration exploration into deep space and benefit life on our planet. In an effort to expand the research opportunities, the ISS was designated as a U.S. national laboratory in 2005 by Congress, enabling space research and development access to a broad range of commercial, academic, and government users. Space Station Explorers is a community of educators, learners, and organizations that make STEM learning fun and exciting through connections with the ISS National Lab. We collaborate with partner organizations on innovative programs and resources for K-12 students, educators, and now higher education programming. Currently, Space Station Explorers has more than 25 education partners with CASIS to make STEM learning engaging and immersive through connections with the ISS National Lab. The ISS has enabled a revolution in educational access to space. The same assets that make the ISS a powerful laboratory for scientists also make it an invaluable platform for student research, investigations, and educational outreach. The ISS enables students to think differently and explore thought-provoking questions in novel ways that will shape and inform their ability to think critically and sharpen their STEM tool. For example, how do plants grow on an orbiting platform free of physical force that shaped their evolution? Or what aspects of this dynamic world and changing climate can be seen from the ISS? Or how do gases and liquids behave differently in microgravity? And how do these changes in fundamental physical force affect machines and living organisms' functions? So many amazing questions and things to discover for students. For the past 20 years, students have investigated these and other questions. They've designed, built, launched, and they've operated experiments on the ISS. They've programmed and controlled robots, selected targets from Earth photography, and analyzed space imagery, operating experiments in chemistry and physics, plant seeds exposed to space environment, communicate via ham radio from space to ground and back, and even conducted cutting-edge genetic research. You can learn more about some of the work that we've done with students in our 20 years of student experiment report on the ISS.
Imagine living and working in orbit, 240 miles above the Earth. Experiments on the International Space Station lead to new discoveries and innovations in medicine, materials, manufacturing, and more, with applications that benefit us here at home. Now you can team up with the astronauts and researchers doing science off the Earth, for the Earth. Join Space Station Explorers, a community of students, educators, and organizations that use the International Space Station for STEM education. Imagine having the opportunity to talk with scientists and astronauts, grow seeds that flew in space, send code to the ISS to control robots, and automate experiments. You can even design your own space experiment.
Liftoff confirmed. The SS Gene Cernan now bound for the International Space Station.
Visit spacestationexplorers.org to discover all the ways you can launch your STEM learning into orbit. Your journey starts here.
The purpose of this NLRA is to solicit applications directed towards utilizing the ISS National Lab from principal investigators and educators associated with U.S.-based institutions. That can be academic, government, commercial, not-for-profit, in the field of STEM education. Applications must seek to expand education programs, projects, and public-private partnerships that leverage the ISS and/or space-based research to engage K-12 students and/or enhance higher education, promoting diversity and outreach in underrepresented demographics. Of particular interest are proposals that seek to expand online engagement via existing or new programming and post-secondary education initiatives. To be competitive, all responsive proposals must explicitly state how programming will target and reach underrepresented demographics and must address at least one of the following goals. Expand the Space Station Explorers Consortium and offerings to increase student and educator participation in and/or digital engagement with existing or new partner programs, including online products. Create higher education initiatives that deliver opportunities for students enrolled in U.S. colleges and universities to explore education, background, pathways, and career opportunities associated with space-based research and development on the ISS National Lab or the commercialization of LEO. And last, digitizing space-themed K-12 or higher education programming. The NLRA 2022-7 process and timeline. Step 1. Concept summary submission due May 9th of 2022. This should only be about 2 or 3 pages. Concept summaries must use the template provided at the website below. Concept summaries may be submitted and will be received, evaluated, and potentially approved through the NLRA open period. A CASIS internal review team will, with representatives from education, science, business, operations, and compliance, will evaluate each concept summary. Approved concept summaries will be invited to submit a Step 2 full proposal. Concepts approved based on Step 1 evaluations will proceed to Step 2 by invitation only. Concepts not invited to submit for a full proposal will receive feedback. Step 2, full proposal submission. It is due July the 19th, 2022. The process for developing full proposals is outlined in detail within the proposal instructions published on the NLRA website. Full proposals will undergo peer review by subject matter experts in education in accordance with proposal evaluation documents provided as attachments. At the end of Step 2, the proposals recommended for selection will be presented for final determination to the CASIS Executive Director, who is the selecting official. Further details and requirements on concept summaries and full proposal submission, including instructions and templates, can be found in the proposal instructions document available on the NLRA website. NLRA 2022-7 Award Information. Funding for this NLRA. The total set aside funding for this NLRA is approximately $400,000 for either ground-based programming or potential programming that requires flight resource allocation. Matching funds are not required, but proposals that contribute resources, whether that's money or in kind, will be favorably reviewed. There is a performance period for this NLRA, so it is anticipated that the period of performance will be no longer than 3 years from the date awarded. Thank you so much for joining us today for NLRA 2022-7 webinar. I hope you found the overview helpful, but if you have additional questions after today's webinar, you can always contact the CASIS team here at info@issnationallab.org. Please, in the subject line, write NLRA 2022-7 to help us better answer your question and get it to the right department to answer. So at this time, we will conclude our recorded portion of the webinar and take your questions. Thank you again.